Womp womp.
Yeah.
Saw the protections in the bans in place. Kolento protecting his druid. And, you know, talking about players who bring Murloc Paladin, Kolento also brought it this week. Quest Shaman was protected on Orange's side. And this is Paladin's a talking point. I don't think it's that bad of a deck.
I do. Hard stalemate. That's what we've got here.
There's really no debate to be had. Like, how could I possibly convince you? And how could you possibly convince me?
I know. I mean, that's just our casting dynamic 101, right? But it's...
A dynamic side, though.
Sure. Tice also called out that, you know, this deck, Quest Shaman, is one of the ones that he was happy to have in his lineup playing against aggro. He felt relatively secure in it. Orange is up against a fairly powerful-looking opener from Kolento, though. He has drawn the Tip the Scales, which, of course, doesn't really need saying at this point, is a bit of a problem. The ironic Cold Light Seer.
Yes, because it's made entirely of iron.
Yeah. I mean, obviously. Look at it.
Yeah, Cold Iron Seer. You just said
that, like, rusty kind of color to it. Yeah. It's clearly made of iron.
Yeah. You know, I've noticed Mutate is hitting, like, Novice Engineer.
It's a perfectly fine target for it.
Just never thought about it.
Yeah.
It's changed my opinion on Mutate.
Oh, really?
Well, I didn't really think about just mutating my Novice Engineers. That's smart.
Let's move quickly.
Evil Cable Rat.
Yep.
Lackeys from Sludge Slurper. That one not so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a high roll card. You know, you can find situations for it where, you know, you're playing a deck full of battle cries. Battle cries by design, strong effect, understatted for their cost. So when you then roll them into the next cost up the tree, you're generally making a huge profit on stats. It's just a fairly effective card.
Step 1, include Mutate. Step 2, play Battlecry minions. Step 3, question mark, question mark, question mark, which is the outcome, and then step 4, profit. Makes sense to me.
Double profit.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because you see it as Quest Shaman.
Yes.
For my glory.
Pretty ugly looking spot here for Orange. He needs to trade and take care of this 4-2, and then he's probably left just dropping a 3-3 into this 3-3.
Ooh. I want to play Evil Totem.
Do you now?
I think that acting as like a bootleg Acolyte of Pain is fine, where like it wants to get attacked, and then you get a Lackey, so that way you have like a Lackey plus a 3 on the next turn. I think that has some merit to it. At the same time...
Yeah, I get the argument, but I just, like, it's a war leader. You need to kill it at some point. Like, I think, like, Evil Totem doesn't often progress your game plan towards killing a Murloc war leader. And yeah, we see Orange get punished here by the Cold Light Seer, but I think just contesting 3-3 for 3-3 when it's a Murloc war leader just makes sense.
See, that's the funny thing to me, is like the Seer is kind of the reason I want to play a 3-3. Is like, if that's there, I need to make headway. And so you benefit from holding the Evil Totem when you draw a 2-cost card, and you would, by holding it anyway, and you would benefit from playing the Evil Totem when you drew exactly Kobold Lackey and then exactly Weaponized Wasp on the next turn. So the payoff of just playing a 3-3 is just higher because your draw average is better.
Right. I was about to say, you're describing a very niche situation where the Evil Totem is better.
I think that we are scrapping for them right now because Orange is losing super hard.
He does have the ability to swing back, though. Don't think Kolento has clear skies just yet.
He might have murky waters, though.
He might. But just, you know, this hand, like, Mind Control Tech plus Goblin Lackey single-handedly is just a full board swing if Kolento is not careful with what he develops to the board. But I think if there's one word you can use to describe Kolento, careful is very, very high on the list.
Yeah. Careful, careless. Because he doesn't care, you know, much about like.
Those are polar opposites.
Yeah, but you have to take into account the subject matter, right?
Okay.
Hearthstone, very careful. Interviews, very careless.
Oh, I think he's very careful with what he says in interviews. An enormous amount of care is put into shutting down our questions as effectively as possible.
I suppose that contempt and disgust is a form of caring.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, on the negative scale of that. But that's true. He would care a lot if that was the target.
Must move quickly.
Instinct was the tasty fin, and I agree.
I wonder.
Interesting he chose to preserve the health on the Coalites here. Thinking exactly Sandstorm Elemental?
Yeah, the way he traded right now
For
is
my
worse against
glory.
Sandstorm Elemental currently,
Yeah,
right?
I'm wondering what it's better against.
Kobold Lackey. It was already a 3-2 to begin with, right? The Murloc War Leader, so he hasn't lost anything against Kobold Lackey by doing it this way.
Some Rush Lackey scenarios.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I almost think Sandstorm Elemental might just be a better argument, though.
Maybe you're happy that they're using it now. Maybe it's like kind of a little...
Yeah,
bit
no, that's a good point.
You're like, hey, you want a
For
Sandstorm
my
Elemental? I got
glory.
chipped the scales and you're going to double it soon.
Yeah,
Not be rushed.
no, that is very fair.
Look at that.
Value.
Hyper efficiency.
Yeah.
How much longer do you keep trading for? That's my next question.
It's a good one.
Evil Totem, I think, you know, much higher priority than these are. Although the Lackey does have some priority to
I
it.
wonder.
It does, yeah. Activates Weaponized Wasp, which is a super effective card. Just about every minion in your deck is just Wasp food. Like Nightmare Amalgam is the only thing. Or Nomi, I guess, if you want to be very pedantic about it.
wonder.
Well, the Nomi's the one preparing all the food.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. I find that extra funny because they all happen to be fish.
Must move quickly.
Yeah. And there's that one guy that just
Let
flings the
me
food
think.
across, starts a food fight in the middle of the cafeteria. Just throws a pile of fish into your hand.
It just sounds like a Hearthstone card. Food flinger. Well, I guess fish flinger. Oh, gosh!
Okay, welcome to the conversation.
You make too deep of puns that are too good, all right? It takes me a minute.
That was in no way a quality pun. That was appalling.
I didn't say quality, I said too deep.
Yeah, I guess those two things aren't immediately related.
Mogu Flesh Shaper with the Witchy Lackey. Woo!
That's some juice. That is a big board swing.
Beloa, speak to me.
Former champ discounts it by 2, gets it down to 0, then gets played. 1 remaining for the Witchy Lackey.
Float like a butterfly.
That is about the most powerful thing that Orange can do this turn.
Mortals are so squishy.
Aren't you mortal? You're a 3/4.
I mean, it's... You'd be better asking that question of someone with some level of lore knowledge, because I don't know what a Mogu or a Flesh Shaper is, so I have absolutely no idea.
Well, you see a Mogu's a 3 and a Flesh Shaper is a 4.
Ah,
When you combine them, it benefits with Rush as well. It's just simple. And you told me I was...
oh!
That's illegal.
It's caught on. Context sensitive, is that the best one in the situation?
Tyrion's probably better.
Is
But
Tyrion better? Yeah, I guess Tyrion is still better.
look, Zephyrus offers you Tyrion.
I was just thinking, like, any big thing there, because you leave the Murloc up, you're open to Toxfin, but I guess Tyrion coming in with Divine Shield kind of mitigates that anyway. But that could potentially be a game ender here.
Yeah, I mean, Kolento drawing both tips before any lenses.
Oh, perfectly fits into the curve as well now. He even ends up dropping the life drinker. See what these lackeys offer. Okay.
Yeah, not so interested in those turn. I got my eye on the life drinker
Yeah,
as well.
I'm still feeling life drink up.
I feel like Orange might be free to start cranking the damage here. Like, you have so much backup with Mind Control Tech and Ethereal Lackey and Goblin Lackey. Like, what board state would Kolento go in on that you can't defend with that hand? I think any trades here would be direct consideration for building an even bigger lead next turn.
Yeah, I mean, you can choose to respect the Murlocs with Toxfin. Like, as far as Orange knows, like, Kolento could also still just top deck a Prismatic Lens, play it, and then play Tip the Scales next turn. Like, that
perspective.
That is a possibility as far as Orange knows.
It's like, oh, I can't pass him. I can't pass him the 5 to face.
Yeah, it's fine. When you're adding 6 to that with the life drinker, like, it's so hard to pass up.
So, I was trying to think of any blessing to drawing Mermy this turn. Where I'm like, your Tip the Scales gets better next turn? Yeah, it's rough. It doesn't even necessarily get better, because the Mermy's just still in play.
Reporting for duty.
I mean, I think that still makes it better, because any Murloc buffs that come out, that 1-1 is significantly better than a 1-1 at that point. I think having a live Murloc when you play Tip the Scales is perfectly reasonable some of the time. Yeah, that card does damage.
Still need 5 more for this to close, though, so, you know, you saw him mouse over the Goblin Lackey there. He's like, okay, that's 2 of that 5.
For my
I need 3 more?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if you ever can tempo stuff here. Like, tempoing a Mind Control Tech in this spot seems outrageous to me because, like, Tip the Scales is supremely likely next turn.
Right.
Will not be rushed.
The idea is if you're setting up lethal against Tip the Scales coming down anyway, which takes it out of the equation.
That's sometimes true, but that's not always true, right? Like in the case of like Murloc War Leader. Oh, I guess you only need 2 damage because I forgot that it's a double buff on the Goblin
Yes.
Lackey.
Yeah. So only 3 attacks happen, you're left with 1 on board, and you have 8 from hand. So playing the Mind Control Tech instead of the Questing Explorer here does actually set up lethal against Tip the Scales, right? There's a second Bluegill Warrior too, so that changes the equation.
The Questing Explorer does as well. It's 8 from hand plus 2 on the board. The Questing Explorer.
No, but the Questing Explorer would die because these Murlocs will get buffed in some way.
Ah, I see. Oh, so the... No, the Mind Control Tech would not have done this.
So then it doesn't change because it just kills the Mind Control Tech anyway. Yeah, and even if you don't get buffs, you get second Bluegill Warrior, which helps you take damage off the board anyway, so it's just not a lethal setup. Speaking of lethal setups, Orange is now staring at one himself.
Thinking back to all those trades, man. Trying to maximize the chance he steals away Tidecaller and
Deloa, speak to me.
the War Leader.
They're like incredibly minor things. Yeah, you'd rather steal a Mermy than that 3-1 because you have Bog Slosher, and it'd be better to have a Mermy in your hand than a Toxfin most of the time. Extremely minor details.
Wow, Leroy for Kolento would end the game.
Will not be rushed.
Of course it's the right way.
So Orange gonna take out the War Leader to make sure that's not a factor.
3-5-7 on the board, Leroy off the top. Yeah, it's just 13 now. No longer representing lethal himself. after the trades happen.
So Grimscale Oracles are the last attack buff in the deck for Kolento.
Yep.
Still has a bluegills in there. So how do you parse this out? Like, do you start trading first? And how do you trade? That depends on how many Murlocs you have left. So Kolento's just got to do some math this turn and figure it out.
Ten, 13. Yeah, both war leaders are gone.
I believe that was just 5 Murlocs. Oh, there's a Nightmare Amalgam left.
Yeah. If there was a war leader left in the deck, then I think he had some lethal potential on that turn as well, with war leader, Grimscale, and the bluegill coming out while still attacking with the other 3 Murlocs as well. But no such opportunities with what he had left. Hello.
Orange isn't thinking about playing the Sandstorm Elemental. He's thinking about A, Lava Burst out of the Nightmare Amalgam, and then B, what Murlocs does he draw for this just to make sure that I don't have to think about it later.
Yep. This turn is straightforward. He's just getting all the due diligence out of the way now.
The Lava Burst is a question mark, though.
It is.
I want to hold it because if you draw a Life Drinker, you can end the game. I want to hold it because we have a 2-2 contesting a 3-2, and my opponent's drawing a Nightmare Amalgam.
Your opponent's deck is a True Silver Champion, a Nightmare Amalgam, a Prismatic Lens, a Chef Nomi,
And a Leroy.
I will not be rushed. Deloa, speak to
Isn't there a
me.
Zephyr in there?
second Prismatic Lens as well.
There's a Zephyr in there as well. Oh
when
my
when I
gosh.
say deck, like it's 7 cards, not 4, because I was including the 3 that Orange doesn't know in hand.
That's so ugly. It does draw a minion, though.
And if that minion is Zephyrus, it's active.
Yes, because it would be Leroy and X left. So Leroy's the draw. Wow, was Chef Nomi perhaps better there?
Reporting for duty.
Like, I know that sounds crazy, but like it's a 6/6.
He pushed 3 now, he's down to 15. You have 9 on board, which puts him at effective 6.
that a
And then you
true
can
silver
draw
draw?
Leroy the next turn.
No, yeah, it's true because you don't have Leroy in hand.
Yeah. But you would put yourself on a Leroy top deck with that play. No, you wouldn't, because the 3 would be taken off the board. So he'd be at 15, facing down 6, so he'd be at effective 9. So yeah, I don't think it sets up lethal outs.
Orange is in trouble. What happened this game? It was looking so good.
Murloc Paladin looking like it might just drag itself kicking and screaming over the line here.
You know, I think it's so important to notice how Kolento very meticulously fought for board as well. Like, every last point of efficiency mattered.
Orange really deep in the tank this turn.
Well, he's trying to figure out what draw wins in the game. Like, they're just... Like, is there one?
Well, Life Drinker certainly does.
Can you afford to not Lava Burst?
Some cards.
Agree with
The answer to
this.
that's yeah.
Leroy Savage Roar?
That
Sleeper,
looks like
right?
it wins to me.
Yeah, Leroy Zephyrus Savage Roar. Used to be a bug where Savage Roar didn't detect your hero attack, but I believe that has now been corrected, and this will give a Savage Roar for lethal. Kill command also lethal there because the Amalgam's a beast.
Ah!
Good job, Zephyrus.
Orange can't believe it.
Reliably informed by Orange that, you know, if both players like pick and ban correctly, Kolento is not going to end up playing, or at least against the warrior for Orange. So we will see, and yeah, right on form, there is no priest just yet. Kolento has a chance here to get out of that series without playing the priest, as he has the druid now up against the shaman. This is a deck that we saw Bunny Hopper play super well in this matchup. I think we'd both agree on earlier in the day. See if Orange can match that up against a slightly different list here from Kolento.
Yeah, I think not playing the priest would be illegal, and I'm going to demand game 3 and priest. And you know when I'm demanding priest, something's up because I never demand priest.
You know, he still doesn't have to play the priest if we get
Nope,
to game 3.
That's illegal.
Okay.
Of course it's the right way.
If he doesn't play it game 3, I'm calling the police.
I'm very glad you've got on the that's illegal train.
It's really funny.
I know.
Like, I'm like, no, that's not illegal. And you just insist that it is, and it's like, that's funny. I don't know why. I keep seeing these questing explorers on turn 2, and I'm very curious about it. Like, it's so natural for that to be the play, right? But when I have Weaponized Wasp and I have Coin, I always look at Sludge Slurper and what's the big payoff potential of it.
Wait, I'm lost. What did you just say? Run that back again?
Everyone's been playing Questing Explorer on turn 2.
Oh, did you?
But when
I
you have
think you might have
Sludge
said
Slurper-
Crystal Merchant on 2, which is what confused me. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think... moving on. I understand now.
Okay, if I misspoke, I apologize. Questing Explorer.
Now I understand.
Yes. So I'm very interested when you exactly have Weaponized Wasp and Coin and Sludge Slurper alongside this. It's a pretty specific thing, but this comes up a lot, actually.
Okay.
Having the Lackey in play preemptively, because you're overloaded for 1, it's okay you get to Coin Wasp. Like, I feel like against Crystal Merchant specifically, that can be important, but I'm actually just not convinced that that's that big of a deal.
Well, the thing is this way around, so this is one of the bad outcomes, but this way around you can still find Kobold Lackey or the Rush Lackey to be able to take care of the situation anyway, right?
Yeah.
So against Crystal Merchant, you're fine some of the time, and against not Crystal Merchant, you've just made like the more natural, quote, like vanilla good play, right? Play 2 drop on 2.
And kind of the example I wanted to get to with that was the idea of playing proactively around a card. If you go for the Sludge Slurper there and then coin out your Wasp, you give up a lot in this matchup. Like, it's been demonstrated how important Wasp is in a matchup like this to be able to, A, deliver burst damage, and B, fight through the right position from your opponent. You know, Hidden Oasis is one of the cards I specifically think about. Your opponent's under threat of Weaponized Wasp almost every single time in the end of the game due to the double battle cry. And so if they have to play Hidden Oasis prior to that, the Wasp is threatening that tempo battle. And so it's super important to be fighting against this in a proactive way from an outcome perspective, I think, much more than it is to be setting up to guaranteed kill the Crystal Merchant every time.
Okay.
It's a very weird thing.
Despite you talking about how effective Hidden Oasis can be, I do love that Loti pick there from Kolento when it was up against the Hidden Oasis, because certainly in my experience in the matchup, that is the card that terrorizes me when I'm playing the Shaman. It's just so hard to build a board when you have the threat of War Druid Loti spell damage represented against you the whole time.
Just keeps fighting back. It's a much different tale than the Bunny Hopper versus
5 more minutes, man.
Psycho series, though. Kolento's got Oasis Surger early.
Yeah, we might just see it crystallized exactly how much of an impact that has on the matchup.
Also has at least the Enlighten in the deck, which is also very different than what Psycho is running.
Scenarios as well, which I believe Psycho didn't have in his deck either.
Deloa,
That I don't remember, but I'm going to go look now.
I think that's true. You can check it for me.
Holy smokes, you are right.
Yep.
Well, that seems weird.
I'm not super interested in that Dozing Marksman, personally. Although, actually, maybe this is right, just because the Marksman is a little bit of AoE protection against Starfall.
Swipe? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Alright. I'm fine with it.
Well, as long as you're fine with it.
I mean, that's the most important thing, let's be honest.
All my honesty right now. Bad timing. He's gonna kill the marksman!
It's a free kill. That was the ultimate value trade. Don't get better than that.
I wonder.
Yeah, this one's a little bit tougher. If you kill the 4-3, the lackeys get a value trade in. If you kill the 2-2, you are lining up a wasp for that thing.
You are lining up the juiciest of all wasps.
Wasp is lined up anyway, but just in a very different manner.
That is true. You're also slightly vulnerable to Sandstorm Elemental here, but I don't think you would expect your opponent to Sandstorm Elemental with knowledge of the matchup in this position. When they have a 1/1 that can trade into it anyway. Like, I don't think you Sandstorm Elementals to protect 1/1s in this matchup, is essentially what I'm saying. Like, I think Sandstorm Elemental is a better card than that in the matchup.
I will be curious to know how Orange is thinking of the matchup, because the Sandstorm Elemental also allows your 2/2 and your other 1/1 to trade off fairly well.
Okay, if you just hero power with it, sure.
Yeah.
Speak to me.
It's a pretty weak-looking development turn, though.
I'm more interested in using the Wasp because that's conditioned.
Yep, I agree.
Orange has had some tough-looking turns, though. Nothing super clean. It's like float mana, not getting super efficient battle cries. It's the nature of pressure against this deck. You got to scrap. Fight for it. That's the one Orange did not want to see.
Most impressive.
And if you needed confirmation of the fact that he didn't want to see it, there it is.
Yeah, I understated it a bit. I think his reaction was much more than I expected it to be, but it's accurate.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? Like, it was Quest into Crystal Merchant, into Wrath, into Oasis Surger, into Nourish. Like, that's basically the dream curve for Druid, so...
Yeah. And meanwhile, Orange has been, like, struggling to, like, make efficient plays.
Yeah.
He's like, I lost the early board to Druid. Like, come on, man.
I wonder. Time waits for no one.
All right, there's no way you're not playing that, right? Okay.
He hasn't played it yet.
It's like, this is a free mana 3/5. I mean...
Yeah, I think the debate was far more over what he was doing with the rest of the turn, to be perfectly honest. Ooh, revealed it again to kill off the lackey.
I don't know about that.
Sure, I'm on board with all these unstealthed Loties in this matchup.
You know, so that is something else that I've noticed too, is that the players who have tended to keep their Loti hidden for a long time have felt like, even if it's just the bluff equity of it, your opponent's fearing big AoEs. It will change the way that they play. Now, the only thing it changes is they go, oh, I better kill that Loti instantaneously. Pretty massive amount of respect for that lackey.
And with one of the Wasps on the board as well. And one Bog Slosher already used as well in terms of ways to bounce that Wasp and activate it again on the following turn. Oh, Mind Control Tech is live.
Look at his hand. It's insane.
Does Orange just need the 5/8 here?
Engaging TC-130 mental dislocator.
Well, it doesn't matter now because he hasn't got it.
I feel like I'm happier with the 5/5.
Really?
I'm looking at it from Orange's perspective. Like, I'm assuming there's no Starfall because they use the Loti instantaneously. I'm assuming it's hard for him to push past this because, you know, it's a 5/5. They've already used an Oasis Surger. I'm looking at Titanic Lackey in my hand. Like, I feel pretty happy with this spot if I'm Orange.
Swipe, Starfall, Oasis Surger. There's a lot of things that interact with that 5/5 very nicely right now.
They all require you to trade in, though, so you're not taking damage.
Well, the Starfall doesn't. I mean, like, yeah, something has to trade into the 5/5, but you still just take a beating from the board that's already there.
Yeah.
I think you just want the big one.
Heal it up to full, maybe twice.
Oof.
I mean, that's just going to be every draw in Kolento's deck that I'm going to have that reaction to now. It's
yeah,
late
like
game druid.
Yeah, every card's good. You're not wrong.
Accelerated late game druid at no less.
Yep. I think it's time if you're Kolento just to smell blood. Just pull the trigger here. The Shadow Walk that's going to come back at you, if that's the emergency from Orange, is not that effective. One Mind Control Tech, one Sandstorm Elemental in terms of affecting the board state in a significant way.
I guess what's the question for me is what's the best go in here? Is it Cenarius and then Oasis Surger, or is it Cenarius Starfall? Like
My default when I said that was Cenarius Starfall, but I did not examine it in depth. I just know I wanted to hurt Orange this turn.
Sequencing here yields more from the Power of the Wild. Would have been 2 on the Cenarius. Instead, it's 3 on the Power of the Wild. Smart. And summoning minions before buffing your board is worse? Weird. Ooh. Ah, there's Oasis Surger and Starfall. That's illegal.
All right.
Okay,
Too much.
yeah.
Too much. Sparingly.
I mean, look at it. Oh, now,
There's the big one.
now he takes that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was going to work either way, honestly. Like, oh, are you supposed to trade that 7-1 first?
Yes. I suspect so.
So looking at Evolve, looking at Titanic Lackey, looking at Earthshock. Ooh, Titanic Lackey on that Cenarius is pretty big, though.
It is. Yep.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it was good that we took the 8-11 here then,
For my
instead of last turn.
I still won it last
Look, I buffed for you.
time. I still won it last time.
Ah, it's bigger now. He's like still almost dead.
5, 10, 15. Then the 4 would have to go in, so only 11 can go face here. But yeah, in the context of there being 20 health worth of taunt on the board, that is very much nearly dead.
This is kind of tough, actually.
I think it is Starfall Surger.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of different ways to do the trades and parse the Starfall out.
This looks right to me.
I'm not sure which one leaves you in a stronger position.
This is the way I did it in my head when I was calculating the lethal out. It just does seem like the most efficient way to do it. It's the way that if you wanted to, you could push the most damage to the face, which kind of defaults to it being the most efficient way of doing it.
Why did we keep a 4-3 over
Yeah, I was
a
going to say, did
4-5?
Kolento just trade a 4-5 instead of a 4-3? I'm confused.
For my glory.
He is somewhat gassing out, though, on Kolento's side. If Orange can just survive
That's
a
true.
final onslaught or two, and Kolento, you know, Kolento can pick up, we said, look, every card in his deck's insane. Like, he can pick up Hidden Oasis, which is not, like, the biggest impact he can have in a single draw.
Yeah. This activated King Ferris, though.
That is a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
So in that case, how many whiffs does he realistically have? Like another Starfall?
Innervate.
Innovate? No, he's drawn both of them, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Anubisath Defender is pretty bad.
Yeah. Bees. About it.
I hate when I don't get to push the button. Orange needs a big evolve here. That's a little evolve.
1 damage required.
There are some choose one effects that do that.
Yes, there are.
And that's one of them.
That's one of them.
Kolento's going to wrap it up.
I think Kolento started that turn by checking if you could bee's face, by the way. I just want to shout that out, because I think that's what happened.